And we are recording. Welcome everyone. This is your host, Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master. First of all, this channel is proudly sponsored by Inkforged. This is a fantasy role-playing game, highly detailed but very easy to understand. You can imbue your weapons and gear with magically charged ink. You will find the link in the description and in the pinned comment. This channel is also proudly sponsored by the Red Room Publishing. Please check out their store for exclusive tabletop RPG products. They have recently released New Flash, a future noir tabletop RPG where cyberpunk meets biological horror. You will find the link in the description and in the pinned comment as well. This channel is also proudly sponsored by Dead Tree Studios, the publishers and developers of Dames of Asstoria, a tabletop RPG where you play as monster girls, experiencing high adventure in a world that doesn't fully accept them. They have recently released Daughters of Lamb. This is a pay what you want tabletop RPG where you play as cybernetic nuns with guns that are looking for the missing pieces of their AI god. You will find it in their website. The links will be in the description and in the pinned comment. Now let me maximize. Maximize! Okay, this time I want to talk about when to roll. When to roll dice or draw cards or whatever tool it is necessary. When to use those tools to resolve actions in tabletop role-playing games. For some, it is not that easy to figure out, believe it or not. And perhaps some just want to listen to some advice or tips on how to apply them, just in case. There is a misconception when it comes to rolling. I guess it also has to do with the quirks of the person running the game. There are some people that want to roll for everything. There are some people that do not roll or roll like once for the entire session. So I think the great error lies in a misconception that has been handed down that never was from the start. If we go to the origin of tabletop role playing games, the Blackmoor campaign from Dave Arneson, some people in current times say, roll when it's interesting. When it's interesting, there is an interesting outcome. That is too loosey goosey. We all have our concepts of what is interesting and what is not. So it's not fair for players when they carry out their actions through their characters. If the game master applies a roll or calls for a roll just because he thinks that it is interesting, maybe the player doesn't consider that to be interesting. Maybe the player actually wants to succeed. He wants to succeed at that task. Or he wants to fail if he's using one of those rules when you try to fail to gain like a bonus point to spend later on. He's looking for that certainty. He's not looking for something interesting with that particular action. He's looking for at least a great degree of certainty. Perhaps not perfect certainty, but he is attempting something. He is carrying out his action. He is certain of that. And if that action is logical within the context, maybe it's an automatic success. Maybe it's an automatic failure. Maybe you need to roll for it. But it shouldn't be based on what is interesting. It should be based on when the outcome is uncertain. Because we all have our concepts of what is interesting and not. It shouldn't be you deciding what is interesting for the entire group. This is the error mostly on those that think that role playing is storytelling. You're not telling a story about your characters. They have this story or theatrical play or movie. They wanted to proceed exactly how they wanted. So they place priority on only rolling when they think it is going to be interesting. But it is not so in real life. Taking real life situations into the fictional concept, into the fiction of tabletop role playing games. It is about uncertainty. That's why in my games, even during combat, if an action makes perfect sense, if the enemy is caught completely off guard, and the player character is in the perfect position, and he launches his or her attack against the enemy under the armpit. The sword goes in, the dagger goes in. I'm sorry, you don't even need a roll for that. It makes sense with the context, right? There are many other instances. Maybe you're attacking someone from behind that is completely unaware. Maybe you are carrying out a task that is very easy, very simple for someone of considerable conditioning and training. For example, maybe you are playing an acrobat character or a monk, martial artist sort of character, an athlete, and that character needs to make a jump across a 2 meter chasm or pit, and there are no circumstances that hinder that action. There is no one attacking that character. He does the jump automatically. If that character needs to climb a rope up or down, and there is no the rope is firmly secured, and there is no other condition, the weather is fine or whatever, he does it automatically. But what if evil vampire bats from outer space are attacking the character while he or she is climbing up or down the rope? You need to make a roll to see if they hold themselves from secure themselves tight from the rope, because they could fall. They need to have a firm grip, a solid grip on the rope. In the case of jumping, maybe if you get attacked, you also need to make a roll to see if you make that successful jump, because the enemies are almost upon you. Maybe one of them pulls you a bit before you manage to jump. Will you still be able to make that jump, right? Or one of the weapons gets caught in your clothes as the enemy slashes at you. The sword like gets caught a bit in your shirt. Will you still be able to make the jump? So it's not about rolling because it's cool or because it's interesting. It's rolling to see if the test, the check, whatever was successful or not. And this applies the same to the use of other tools such as cards or perhaps the spending resources like tokens. It depends on the mechanics, right? So that's something that I think will be quite useful for those that are just getting into tabletop role playing games, or those that want to actually play a role instead of storytelling. You can storytell if you want, but in tabletop role playing games, you are playing a role and you are playing a game. So thank you for watching this video. I hope it was informative and entertaining. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, consider joining as a member using the super thanks button, like, subscribe. Take a look at the information in the description, the pinned comment. This has been your host, Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master. And remember, it is better to roleplay and fail in character than not to roleplay and fail as a player. Once again, thank you and see you later.